Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Josh Guillory Show. I am your very grateful host. And in studio with me, Walk Diggity Dog Walker Gaffon. What's up, Walk?
What's going on?
Man, you don't got the Cubs on right now? I think we're playing.
I don't know.
Got your Yankees shirt on over there?
I just watched the Yankees.
Oh, how'd they do?
They won.
All right, I could be off on my time. We let one get away last night. That's okay. I don't hold grudges. It's a long season. Guys, we got a lot of topics today. So we're gonna talk a little local, but we are live on rumble.com. I want you to see us out there. We're broadcasting live from the KPEL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Shout out to our KLFY Plus viewing audience. I certainly appreciate you guys for sure. So we're jumping in. We're gonna talk local. Talk local. I live here. Talk local here. Probably first hour. Maybe a little more, give or take. Who knows? So so this bird, I'm getting I've been holding off covering this. I want to kind of let it, maybe someone else would cover, and they have. There's been good coverage on this, really good coverage. And, but, I keep getting asked about it, and I know a little bit about roads, a tiny bit, and projects, and I kind of know a little bit about the projects we'll talk about. Just, so maybe I can help. Who knows? Who knows? But Bertrand Drive, University Avenue, two projects that I get a lot of calls on. I'm getting calls, but a lot of people, it's a buzz around it. So according to News 15 and KLFY and KATC, all our local guys, Lafayette Consolidated Government is reassessing. We're rethinking. All right. Rethinking the Bertrand Drive project, the University Avenue project. That's a lot more than local, by the way, but we'll go into it. After significant pushback. And most of the pushback's coming from who you would think, the business owners and the residents. Rightfully so. The folks that have to live with the consequences of government. That's why local government, man, don't give the state and the federal government that much power. But anyway, let's keep on, all right? But there's a lot of concerns. You got one, University Avenue. I mean, it's going down to 2 lanes, but right now, construction timelines, this is crazy. This is absurd. Who has the whip and the chair? Or whips and chairs. Like who 24/7 on that phone? But anyway, we'll talk about that. We'll get more about that. But concerns that we're seeing or what's being reported, timelines, traffic flow, as you can imagine, traffic flow. Lane widths, I don't understand it. I used to get nervous on Pinhook. Now, I don't know. Have you guys driven that plane? Okay, all right. I just want to make sure that I'm not the only one, okay? And the impact that these projects have on the folks, like I said, that operate along that corridor, the ones that University, Bertrand, this is true for any of these road projects, but these two specifically, man, I don't know. So a few little facts here. The local administration is reevaluating both projects. All right, timing. But business owners, we'll hear from one, concerned about traffic and access. Bertrand, by the way, faces way more concerns, especially over construction. And then after the fact, we'll talk maybe some sidewalks and stuff. I have a feeling that might come up, which I am not against sidewalks, okay? I'm really not. I like them. I proposed a bike path. We should have it, but do it within reason. And don't uproot the whole doggone community. To do it, you can do both. So that faces a lot. University Avenue, again, the median design, the lane widths, that's really kind of the feedback that I'm seeing in the local media, the local news, I get out and about. I'm blessed to be able to do that. That's kind of what I'm hearing from the folks. Additional public meetings are expected. Hey, how effective are they? But you got to have them. People work, people have families, they elect. This is the problem. We elect people to make informed decisions based on how you ran your campaign. You're telling us, trust you for 4 years or 2 years or 6 years, depending on the office. I'm going to do this and under this mindset, and this is my philosophy when I get in, okay? You see the disconnect here? Okay, all right. Anywho, let's go back to this. So let's start with Bertrand. Let's start with Bertrand because in a few minutes, we're going to be talking with my dear buddy, Tim Metcalf. And Tim has been right smack dab in the middle of this thing, okay? And what jumped out at me in this article that I'm referencing, and this is just a KDN article. I asked you to go to my friends over there at KLFY, being that we're on. Hey, I like it. Side note, by the way, KLFY Plus, go check it out. Only one of 3 local stations in the state, I believe, to have that streaming service. So go check us out. But what jumped out at me on the Bertrand stuff, and Tim, we're going to have him in, he called it a big experiment. That was nice. That was well said. Kind words. That's exactly why people are nervous, though, because it really is a big experiment. Okay. And sometimes you got to be bold, man. I'm all about being bold, doing things differently. But we've done projects before. That's not different. We've done road projects before. That's not different. Anywho, but let's see. Most people love the idea of improving Lafayette, by the way. I think so. Even the folks that get nervous about this. Most people support investment for sure. Most people support revitalization. No one's against that. We need to. Hey, I got some other areas we can revitalize if you want to go have some coffee. Can we start by cutting grass? Anywho, but trash too. Oh, you give me. I thought it was a different hand and arm signal. I interpreted. I was on a roll. I'm so sorry. But but really, genuinely, I'm talking tongue in cheek. Most folks support the whole concept of revitalization. It's a good thing. A city that doesn't move dies. So you got to keep going. A parish that doesn't move dies. A county, you can keep going on and on. But the disagreement starts when somebody's business becomes the experiment. That's a problem. That's when people start paying a little bit more attention. Because if you're a business owner on Bertrand Drive, for example, you ain't looking for a good, pretty rendering, all right? That's not what you're looking at every day. You're looking at payroll every day. You're looking at customers every day. You're looking at whether people can actually get in and out of your parking lot. Go look at Bertrand already. And I can get into it more, but we got a few little notes here. I mean, you're looking, if you're that business owner and you're on Bertrand, man, you're looking at a 2.5-year process of pain. Maybe long. That's what they're saying, 2.5, 3, 5 years of process of pain. Doesn't have to be, maybe not. I'm all about being wrong on that. But that's a very different perspective than what you see like in a planning meeting. You know, that's like, and I love, hey man, when I was in office, I had fun with my planners. I didn't know what they did the first year. I had no clue. I mean, I was dealing with COVID, dealing with all this protests and stuff. But once we got our budget under control and we really, really was like, oh, wait, if we stop wastefully spending, we have dollars for one-time capital projects. This is fantastic. Man, I'd go to them planners in community development planning, and I'd just get so excited. You know, they had resources to do some stuff, and that's when you really, 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 like, you kind of get out in the community. But if you have them constrained or whatever the reason, and if you create an environment, I don't know if this is the case over there. I'm not saying it is. But it kind of seems like the same old we always get with the cookie-cut government model, and that is we force our bureaucrats to look at people as paper people and not real people. My terms, you know. And in these weekly drainage meetings I would have, sometimes more than once a week, I'd always say, are we helping real people or paper people? We helping real people or paper? I want to hear, let's help real people, like human beings with like blood and stuff, you know. Anywho, I didn't want to get too gruesome on you, Walk. You okay over there? That's good, man. That's good. All right, so look, we got a whole bunch of stuff to say. Before we go to break, though, I want to tell you, I support the revitalization of Bertrand and the University Corridor Project as we looked at it 3 years ago. I don't know what happened. Listen, I can just tell you on my aspect. I mean, Bertrand could be a really good project, but you got the answers all along that corridor. University, what is going on? So let's talk a little bit more about him when we get back. I can't wait. I'm going to bring in my friend Tim Metcalf, owner of Dino's Praisons, and a whole bunch of other things. He's a good guy. All right, stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. We are broadcasting live on rumble.com. I want you to go check us out at rumble.com. I also want you to go, hey, we're going to, by the way, Walk, I didn't even tell you this. My boy Bob, my dear friend Bob Giles is going to join us hour number 2. Oh, good. Q did. All right. Q on Q, as always. Hey, and go check us out. Gina7788, my dear friend. Angry Vulcan, what is up? I like it. All right, we got my dear friend Tim Metcalf in here. I want to give a shout out to my friends over there at Giles Subaru, right off of Ambassador, right off of Johnson Street. Giles Subaru. Hey Tim. By the way, can you get a dog washing? No pressure. Can you get a dog washing station at one of your Dinos?
That's not gonna work, Josh.
No, that doesn't go well.
The Department of Health
food.
ain't gonna like that. Maybe on the patio,
Oh,
hey.
See, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I just gave Tim an idea,
Right?
and if it provides value, he's gonna do it.
I'll run with it. I'll run with it. It's the restaurant business. We're cutthroat. It's not the music where you can sample someone else's and not have to pay for it. Restaurant business, you come up with a good dish.
That's why
Every
we
other
just had
restaurant in
Shabuki
town is
on.
going to have it by next week. Yeah.
I like it. Hey, guys, this is Tim Metcalf. Most of you folks probably know him, man. He's all involved in the community. Of course, Dino's, Prejean's. He helps. But look, shout out to the Good Fight Foundation, too, because you're a big
We sit on the board there. Yeah.
participant in that and lead a lot of initiatives. And, yeah, man, that's Dustin and Jolie Poirier's, their nonprofit that helps a lot of local kids, guys. So, anyway, just want to give a shout out to those folks. All right, Tim, you are a stakeholder over there. You're a business owner. Hey, by the way, Dino's been there for a hot minute, huh?
55 years.
Longer than the folks in office?
Longer than most of their ages.
That's
yes,
right.
yes, longer they've been alive.
I just wanted to put some context.
Yeah.
So you probably know more about this than I do. I'm going to be quiet. Tell us what's going on over there with the Bertrand project.
So Bertrand, we wanted the speed limit lowered. It's 45 miles an hour. You and I talked about it. It was a state highway. The Department of Transportation gets in the way. It was just onerous. Now it belongs to the city. So we asked for a speed reduction. Oh, we're going to beautification, revitalization. Well, we don't need to be revitalized because every business on Bertrand is thriving. So we're not an economically depressed area. But beauty, sidewalks, trees, let's go. All in.
That's a good point, what you just said, because revitalization is not just beautification. If you want to go do beautification, go do it. That should be 100% every day, 24/7.
Right. Yeah. The business owners, and I know them all by first name basis now. We're close, and we're really close now. So anyhow, we get told the administration comes in, and they say, hey, we got this great idea. We're going to use this beautiful concrete base we have, like they did Evangeline Thruway. You got the technology now to grind it and make it smooth and a little patching. So that lowers the cost, more frugal, and your time of construction. So this is a 1-year job. We're going to saw cut that concrete. We're going to put some sidewalks, a little, some green area, and a little bike lane, and that's good. Okay, we're gonna keep our turning lane. We got commerce. I'm like, hey, we're all in. Good. So we start going, and then it changes, and we're not told when it changes. But then we start getting letters of expropriation, which expropriation was never promised. They get 65 feet. Trust me, I measured it. I was in Bertrand the other day in the middle of the road measuring the road. They got 65 feet to play with, plus or minus. Okay, so they're gonna expropriate 12 feet on each side. I'm like, what the heck do we need to expropriate for? Well, we want to put a 12-foot shared use on the Bertrand side with 2 10-foot green spaces, 2 small travel lanes a la university. On the other side, a 10-foot greenway, a 6-foot sidewalk, another 10-foot greenway, and then we still had to put our greenways in. We didn't even waive. They didn't even waive. You're going to take my property, put plants in, but I still got to put plants, come back, put plants in behind.
They didn't amend the
After you
LDC, the development code?
There you go.
No?
There you go. So we said, wow. On top of that, they came up with a zoning overlay, which put every business, every property owner, every building on Bertrand out of compliance.
Tim, if we could overlay, that's a deep topic, and we might hit that the second
We gonna
segment
hit
because I
it.
want to go back to another thing.
Overlays are evil.
It's
They can be evil.
It can
They
be
can
very
be
evil.
evil.
They can
They
be.
can
You
be
could
evil.
take advantage of folks, and that's what's about to happen. And if it's carved out like you and I talked about on the break, we'll talk more about it before we come to the folks, But you said expropriation. That's when government uses eminent domain. I'm familiar with it. I had to
Right.
do it, I think, twice for drainage
Right.
project. No one lived there, and we went to the council. That's how you do it. You go to the council. I remember Josh Carlson calling me on it, and he's like, "Hey, hold on." So I said, "Well, don't trust me. Just go talk to follow the science.
Right.
Go talk to the engineers." Okay, cool. So we're all good. But what I'm trying to say is there's a public process, and that letter is part of the process, to my
Correct.
knowledge.
Correct.
But I just don't remember the council meeting. Do you?
Council meeting's coming up. It's just a letter they intend
to
to expropriate. And now
Okay.
alarm bells are going off. We're like, hey, we're for this. We're
Ooh.
for this connectivity to Moncus and
Let's talk about that
UL.
more, though.
Yeah,
Eminent domain, expropriation. Okay,
Yes.
so it has to be a public purpose.
right.
Okay, so what's your public purpose? Is economic development a public purpose? Because I asked that a lot just because I kept hearing it thrown around, and I never got a straight answer. I'm sure the administration has they have a legal department. Yeah, and Robbie's a good attorney.
He is,
So I mean,
he is.
they probably looked into that. And that's not the legal department's fault. I mean, this is
I
policy.
don't know. I mean,
Well, maybe. But what I'm
yeah.
trying to say is it has to be fair market value, and which that's another topic we can talk about.
we got to talk about that, right?
Especially
My parking spots are very expensive.
yeah.
I'm telling you right now. So, yeah.
like really,
Yeah.
land wise, okay?
Yes.
But it has to be so fair market value, but it has to be for a public benefit.
Right.
Roads, drainage, other infrastructure, utilities, things like that. Now, if it's economic development, I'm just throwing this one out there. Tim made a great point with that area is thriving. I
Thriving,
mean, like,
thriving.
this would be this would be uneconomic development.
Correct. 100%. Bingo, bingo, bingo.
Did,
Yes.
we,
yes.
did we just create? They'll never accept that in elite world. We'll never be one of the buzzwords.
Right.
Uneconomic development.
Right.
Diseconomic.
This disastrous economic.
Can you make an
development.
acronym with it?
Yeah, you look at Bertrand.
Sustainable.
You look at Bertrand. I mean,
Yeah,
Legends. Jared Legends started there. Oh, gee, he's got 9 units in Lafayette Parish. 9 economic incubator. Look what we did with Dino's.
and he started at Bertrand.
Yes,
And
that-
Dino
that's it.
started at Bertrand.
And then we have, we've grown to all these restaurants and other businesses. Look at Joey. Joey started where the dentist office
Yeah.
is, and then he moved up the street. You know what it was before that?
Uh-uh.
It was a strip club.
Oh, there you go. So I think
It
the
was,
I think
it
the
was a
private
steak. It was a
sector-
steakhouse. The 80s hit. The economy went to crazy. They allowed a strip club right up the street from me. Like, wow, there goes the neighborhood. Joey took it over. Thank goodness. One of the best Cajun delis, unique market. He's got it going on over there, And we're going to be out of compliance, Josh.
Oh.
Wow.
I'm zipping it up.
All right.
All right, stick around, guys. We'll be right back. We're going to open up the phone lines here, too. 232-1542, 844-766-6607. We will be right back. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Man, we're broadcasting live on rumble.com, rebroadcast at KLO5 Plus, and live at the KPEL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. We're going to open up them phone lines, 232-1542, 844-766-6607. You got me all fired up in the break, Tim. We said we weren't going to talk about the panhandling and all the homelessness and all that stuff, and got me all fired up. Told you I live here. Anywho, all right, guys, let's open up them phone lines. We got Tim Metcalf, my dear friend, happens to be a business. I'll use the buzzwords in the circles. He's a stakeholder. So he's a
stakeholder.
He's a stakeholder. I didn't even know what stakeholder meant.
I feel like that steak. I was holding that steak in my heart when they put that overlay on me. I don't know.
It ain't a ribeye. It ain't maybe.
No, it's not. It's not in my belly. It's in my heart. Jeez.
Oh man. All right, guys. So we're talking about the projects on Bertrand and University Avenue. But look, phone lines are open. Ask anything you want. Let's go to Buck. Buck's been waiting there for a while. What's up, Buck?
Hey, how y'all doing, fellas?
Man, we're
good.
good.
To talk to you.
Oh, you too, brother. What you got, man?
If anything, I think that if there's anything that should be revisited by the Supreme Court, it should be eminent domain, because it was like really decided back in 2005 when you could see it was a liberal court majority that ruled in favor, and they were stating that a municipality doesn't have to show that this is why we believe our project is going to bring this public benefit, or this is how much it's going to add to the economy. All they have to do is say it will. Ooh. And after you've taken somebody's property and this is done, or, whatever they want to do, like right now, a lot of energy companies are appropriating land to put power lines to data centers, and they're doing it through eminent domain. So this is definitely an issue that somebody is going to have to elevate to it's going to have to be revisited, and maybe the Supreme Court will have a different view on it. And because, first of all, just a couple of things, I think they should have a very onerous burden to prove how it's going to benefit a community, exactly by how much money, how much economic development. And then after that, since they're taking your property, shouldn't they give you more than fair market value if they're forcing it away from you? That's just some thoughts I had, so I'll let y'all take it from here.
Hey, Buck. Thank you, brother. Man, Buck, I could have, first of all, when Buck, my Alexandria twang is going to be coming out, all right? Now, I'm going to try. I'm going to work on it. I know I'm a fish out of water everywhere I go. Down here, I talk like a twang. Up there, I talk like a Cajun. I don't know. Just don't call me late for dinner. All right. So, man, such a good call, Buck. I'm with you on the philosophy of eminent domain. You need to have, maybe I'll I add to what you said, an objective measurement, not just subjective. Not like what you said, Buck. I love that, man. You can't, right now it seems like government could just say, oh, this will happen. And okay, that's good. But objectivity. And I got to tell you, look, hey, when I was in office, I had to use that twice, both on drainage projects. But it was an objective read. First of all, you go publicly, you go through the council, you get all the blue cards, you hear all the stuff, you go through the process. But before any of that starts, every council member should ask, like my boy Carlson did when he was in office. Hey, you got to show it. Put up or shut up, MP or governor or whoever else. You know what I mean? And so when you have things like a road project, you can get traffic counts. That's objective. When you have a drainage project, you can get collective engineering to show you objective data. You got a process where you're not closing businesses or taking people's homes. You usually can have that opportunity. But I'm very curious. Buck made such a good point, and I'm going to hand it over to Tim because his point on value and stuff like that, it kind of feeds into what you're saying. So look, I'm going to be quiet. Tim, if you could talk about what would this have on the property value itself, especially in the future?
So are we talking the overlay, or are we just talking the expropriation?
Well, both.
Okay, let's talk expropriation. So the expropriation, right now at Dino's on Bertrand, I have just enough parking spots to make code as per city code. But they're going to take, I don't know how many, 8, 10, 12. They haven't decided yet, okay? So now I shouldn't even be permitted or allowed, but they get a wink and a nod. They get to do it. But each one of those spots, their value, you can't say they're the property owner across the street that's grass and a little bit, you take that, that's worth $18 a square foot or whatever. These parking spots generate X number of turns daily. Mondays,
Yeah.
Monday lunch, 2 turns.
yeah.
Monday night, 2 turns. They average 1.6 person per vehicle. Okay.
That makes sense.
All right. Now that's a $25 check average. I got a 15% profit margin. How many years we going out in this, Josh? Because that spot's going to cost you $1 million.
Yeah.
It's going to cost me $1 million over. I've been there 55 years. You
Well,
can't
not
say
only
I'm 4th generation. My grandson's coming up. He's 22 years old. He
Train
can
him.
do until he's 70.
Man, that guy
You
came
know,
out with a
where you gonna come with it?
spinning a pizza.
Yeah, exactly. We got tomato sauce in our veins. You know, we're pizza guys.
Right. I love it.
So how can you give me a subjective value? My value is going to be different than yours.
That's right.
Okay. You know, we're not to be arrogant, but my parking lot's full every day.
No, and it is. There's a reason for that. You got a great wait staff, and you got a great product, and your ingredients are second to none,
Top-notch,
man.
yeah.
I love it. Now, that being said, you mentioned the cost out of pocket. Yeah, that's going to hit you. You're operating as the owner right now and the leader right now.
Right.
But what about the property value? Because this is how the bureaucrats get you. This is what you got to look for. Because this is happening to Tim and those guys. Look how much they give back to the community. Look, you could take their heart out of it. Look how much money that strip puts back in the community. Man, if they're going to do that to these folks,
Get ready.
I'm
Yeah,
just
do it to
saying.
anybody. Yeah, get ready.
So
Get
I'm
ready.
just bringing it up just so you kind of
No,
know
but-
you can talk, you can have a voice,
Right,
And
right.
and I get it, man. Most folks are busy, you know. It's hard to go to those council meetings and all that, but I don't know. Keep up, but the question is, what is it? Because you'll be grandfathered. This is how the bureaucrats get you. They're going to
now
say you're
we're talking overlay.
grandfathered.
Overlay
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Overlay that's was the stake in my heart. This was the overlay was so
What's an overlay?
overreach you know what an overlay is? Overlay is a tool. It can be a tool. Sometimes they're good for economic business, but it's a tool that governments use. It's an evil tool to devalue property. You can Google this. It's right there on Google. They're not even trying to hide it. So they restrict your permitted uses. They increase your instruction costs. They just approval delays, all this, so the property's not worth much. And the existing structure, because, I mean, that Bertrand building, 75 years old, it's a brick monolith. There's no way I can move it to the 10-foot set aside. So it becomes, it's not even an asset anymore. It's actually a liability because I have to tear it down. If I'm grandfathered, I can use it until I get a permit that's 50% of the value, their value of the property. I just did a roof on it. So if that's $1 million building on Bertrand, I just did a $500,000 roof upgrade with HVAC systems, I would have had to bring it into compliance. So I'd have to move a 10,000 square foot brick building
Let me bring
20
this
feet
let me
up.
bring this into context. An overlay district, sure, it could be used for good, but in Tim, it's over abused. It's abused badly. Think of it as a government within a government. Now, a lot of times they'll tell you, "Oh, well, it's for this or it's for this one purpose." No, man, they can tax you. They can put regulations on you. It's zoning within zoning. It's a government within the government. And there are places where I think it makes a lot of sense, but microdose, either microdose geographically or microdose on the impact that you have on the stakeholders, on the business owners, and on the residents. You do that in increments. And that's coming from a guy. I don't think I move slowly.
No. It's true. These are used in minority districts a lot to devalue property so they can, under the guise of revitalization, beautification. Okay? So you could, how about just buy that property at fair market value, lower the regulations, or let the developers not pay property taxes for a few years to make it more even. But the government's going to get in bed with developers to steal money from poor people.
Man,
And I'm just telling you, there are 3 overlay districts in Lafayette, and all 3 are in minority areas. That's a fact. Louisiana Avenue, the Thruway. There's 2 on Louisiana Avenue, I believe, Josh. You know.
I don't recall on that one.
Yeah.
But now you're talking about those special tax. Carol calls them STDs.
There's TIFs. There's TIFs as well, but there's overlays.
Yeah.
As well.
No, but this is all the same thing. And the way that they got it the last time is they carved those districts where nobody lives so that it didn't require a vote of the people.
Right.
You know, that's how they got these economic development districts. Now, some of these economic development districts, take like downtown, for example. Downtown, I could see why they wanted that. The 10 years prior to the, at least 2019, that's when I started counting, or 2020. But the 10 years before that, my understanding, it was only like $19 million total invested in the infrastructure, and we invested 61 in 3 years. But it wasn't anything special. It was just looking at what and the thing is, the sad thing is, it wasn't even really sexy things.
No.
It was like underground storage for drainage.
Right.
A lot. All those drains you see being added or just was added. All that kind of stuff.
Right,
You know?
right.
And shout out to some of the business owners. You guys are awesome. Working with them, we'll make it a quiz, and if you can call on the show and tell me if you know. Okay. Here's a hint. Look for the new concrete. But there is actually there's actual detention pond storage underneath some of our businesses over there.
Right.
At least one I know of. So
Yeah, for sure.
all right, we're going to take a tiny little break. Walker will throw a rock at me if I say any more words. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. We're broadcast live from the KPEL Studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Got my dear friend over here, Tim Metcalf. Man, I tell you what, I'm surrounded around folks that are way smarter than me. I'm sorry, fellas, I'm making the bar go down. I even had my friend Bob Giles walked in. He'll be with us next hour unless we can sneak him in. But look, we got a few minutes here in segment 4. Man, Tim's he's firsthand knowledge on Bertrand. We're talking about the Bertrand project. Didn't get a chance to talk about the university project too much. Maybe we will in hour 2. Tim, tell us more about it.
So the zoning overlay, Josh, was just pure evil. You know, it took all the value out of our businesses, 10-foot setbacks, and then we had a conversation with Monique, and she's been very responsive, and she goes, well, you know, we'll table the zoning overlay. So I asked her a point blank question: does that make it go away? No, we could always bring it back. I'm like, okay, this is a non-starter for us, Monique. It's just not. No, we can't. No. So
well, and then
here we are, and that's what she said. She said she's going to revisit.
And you were comparing something to the moratorium, right? With because you had said there's another way besides.
Oh yeah, well the part of the stuff that the overlay, the reason for the overlay, some of it was good. You know, they wanted no more bars, didn't want to become a strip, but you know, a college. Hey, I don't know, we're cool with that. But they said we have to do an overlay. I'm like, well, you had a moratorium downtown. You never did an overlay. That's pretty simple. Just don't give alcohol permit. You do not, because you alluded to that overlay. They can just put things in there. They can put tax. They can put a TIF, a taxing district. You can put these onerous, if they don't like you, or if they want to remake Bertrand Drive to look like River Ranch.
You just said it. You just said it.
Yeah.
You just said it. You're creating with these districts a government within the government. They're not all bad, but boy, it's just, you know, microdose those things if you're going to do it. And and what's the purpose? Have you been told the purpose? What's the purpose of
It's going to be beautiful, Josh.
Well, beautify it. Can we start?
It's going to be beautiful.
Hold on now. If we're going to talk about beautification,
it's going to be beautiful.
Can we start by beautifying the dang trash? Can we start? Can we start? Listen, I don't want to be mean, so I'm going to just throw some ideas. Okay. Here's some ideas. Okay. And I'm just telling you these ideas work because I happen to know a guy that was implementing these ideas. You could get like just a crew, tiny little crew out of Public Works, maybe even traffic, roads, and bridges, and you tell them your sole purpose, at least from 8 to 5 or whenever you're clocking in, is to go find all those weeds and get rid of them.
Well, look, the water tower next to Dino's are bad neighbors. I'm trimming the fence constantly. It can't cut the grass and take the weeds and the invasive chicken trees and all the crap that's growing across my fence line. They can't keep that up, but they're going to add 125,000 square feet of flower beds, and they're going to keep that up in a half-mile road. 125,000 square feet of flower beds. How many people are going to add to?
Right.
I mean, how many jobs? I guess they're creating jobs. You could say they're creating jobs, I guess, you know.
And I'm an avid believer of those. I'm a gardener. I love those flowers, but not at the expense of parking for a business. Not at the expense of
9 foot. They're not 9 foot lanes. The lanes have been. She sold us on 11-foot lanes at the beginning, but the actual plan was less than 11. We called her on that, and she now 11. But look, the job it's too big, and the whole job got so big, the scope of the project, that's what triggered these overlays. But how these overlays even exist in Lafayette Parish is pure evil. They shouldn't even exist. So my mission is to get these overlays.
And this parish is a conservative parish.
But
we're busy.
It is.
So when you have things like this and you overkill with an overlay when you don't need an overlay, when you can achieve the goal, you want to beautify it? I'm all in. We got a whole bunch of other
100%.
things. Got a few potholes we can beautify.
As is every business owner on Bertrand. We want to make it beautiful. But look, if we got to deal with this, reallocate the money to Johnson Street. Because we are doing economically fine on Bertrand.
That was a good point.
We all agree. So
look, from what I understand, the administration at least is pressing a pause 2.5 years in, and
hopefully, yeah. No, I think we all get to the table. We talk.
Let's pull.
Let's share ideas. You know, someone says, "What does Metcalf know about engineering?" Well, I almost graduated college from it, so I probably got more experience than most of the people in the city, or make whoever's making these decisions.
You know more
So-
about it than I do, but look, keep
Yeah.
keep the mayor president in your prayers, and the administration and the
Absolutely.
stakeholders
I think
and
we'll figure it out.
everybody.
We'll figure it out.
This is a good thing.
Yeah.
While we're revisiting it, revisit it with the feedback from the stakeholders, revisit it from the feedback of the residents. And guys, Tim has front access. Go visit him at Dino's. No pressure.
Come see me. We'll talk. We'll talk.
All right, guys, stick around. We'll be right back. My friend Bob's going to join us for hour number 2. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Josh Guillory Show. I remain your very, very grateful host. And in studio with me still, Walk Diggity Dog. What's up, Walker?
What's going on?
Oh, it's good, brother. It's good. Still hadn't found the Cubs. You just don't like me.
They don't play till 7.
Oh, see, I was so off. Hey, that's true. All right, we'll be able to watch them. That's fantastic. And this other gentleman to my right and right in front of you on the camera is Mr. Bob Giles. Bob, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Good to be here.
Always good to have you, my friend. So, Bob, man, he's all over the place in the community. I'm always fascinated. I told him earlier. I said every time I see a shark, I think of you.
Yeah.
And your
Why
response,
is that?
Yeah, because this guy swims with him. Like, when you first told me that, I was like, okay, it was probably like some kind of, I don't know, event or whatever, like real safe, Man, he swims with them.
Well, I showed you the picture. Hundreds of sharks.
Do you have that video that's...
yeah, I've got that video.
Man, you should post that video. I think we tried to. You said I could. We tried to in the size or something, but we were doing it over like a phone. Anyway, yeah, it's a pretty cool video, Bob, just with the sharks and his phone. You drop your camera. You drop your camera all the way to the bottom of the ocean and whoop.
Well, it's a GoPro.
GoPro, yeah.
GoPro, yeah, diving with the sharks, yeah.
So, all right, you hear his name all the time. You hear me talk about him all the time, and we certainly appreciate it. And be like me, man. I'm a customer, Bob. And, I think that your leadership, Bob, honestly, every organization you walk into your local mom and pop, you walk into a judge's office, a mayor's office, whatever, private sector, doctor, whatever. The staff always replicates what the leader does. The bar is always set where the leader. It's never going to be higher than where the leader sets it. That's just the nature of leadership. And Bob, the value that you guys give, not just at Giles Subaru, Giles Nissan, Opelousas, Lafayette, but it's like all across the board, man. So, we're going to talk about development a little bit, and I asked Bob to come in, and it's very good because he has way more experience in this community and elsewhere in California too. We'll get in that topic. About how it is to develop and what's that. We always hear development discussions from like the government's perspective. You hear them on maybe the radio or council meetings or something like that. And then you get the news and it's only the extremes, but, and no offense. Okay. But having your perspective would be, probably pretty helpful here, but, I certainly appreciate, what you add as far as to the organization.
Well, thank you. I tell her I have very high standards for myself. And I always tell all of my people I don't expect more out of them than I expect out of myself. I don't have two sets of rules.
Right.
How I dress, how I keep my car, how we keep our facilities, our landscaping, how we treat customers. I just had an incident today where a customer was promised free oil changes and we didn't deliver. And we reimbursed her for the free oil changes. And I said, well, that's not enough. All we did is just give her what she was already owed.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah. We got to do more than that,
Yes.
So I told them, you come up with something, but,
right. It's going to be something.
We messed up. We screwed up. And we reimbursed her for the oil changes, but that's not good enough,
Right.
We got to do more than that. So,
Value.
and we will, Yeah.
So you've developed. Look, I'll be honest. I learned a lot about development and some of the things that you worked on that just get me it forced me just by nature to learn about the regulations and our actual development code and stuff like that. You and many, many other people developing. Talk about the process because a lot of folks don't understand, what it is dealing with a government. And look, a local government can really, really help your business and do like functioning infrastructure that actually helps. But a local government can really, really screw the pooch too. So talk to us, and sometimes it's in the middle. Talk to us about your experiences.
Well, fortunately or maybe unfortunately, but, as you grow a business, you got to build facilities, buy property, build facilities. And fortunately, I've grown where we've needed to build, we've built a new Volvo dealership, Subaru dealership, a couple of Nissan dealerships. We've built we've built quite a few facilities over the years. And, what's always been so frustrating is how long it takes to get all the approvals from the city.
Yes.
And, a lot of these projects, you're talking millions and millions of dollars that are tied up in the process of trying to build and trying to get the approvals. We had a situation where we were building a new Volvo dealership where they were limiting how many parking spaces that I could have based on some kind of code and that they had passed. And then they realized, that doesn't work for car dealerships and churches and theaters and so forth, because you were limited to how many parking spaces you could have based on the square footage of a building. Well, you think about a church or a theater, you need a lot more parking spaces.
Yeah.
And particularly a car dealership, I had to explain to the city, these aren't customer parking spaces. This is where we park inventory for sale, right?
That's a great distinction.
Which, by the way, when we sell, there's a sales tax, and the city benefits from that.
That's
okay?
right.
And, oh, by the way, we pay an ad valorem tax
Yep.
on that inventory,
That,
And
we
without
could
the
talk we could talk a lot about that.
And without the inventory, we can't be successful. So if you limit me on the number of parking spaces, that took, they had to give me a waiver so I could have enough parking spaces. And it's that kind of red tape that just slows down the process of completing a facility. And it just seems like every time we want to do something, and I'm in a couple of residential developments with Jordan Daigle, Robert Daigle's son. A lot of people remember Robert Daigle from
Two great guys.
River Ranch, and done a lot of development. And his son has carried the torch and doing a lot of great things. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to be involved in a couple with him. And it just takes a lot of time to get everything approved through the city.
And it doesn't have to be. And, Bob, you're in a unique position that you've dealt with this so much that you really have, and you've dealt with different approaches. I'll just say that because every team, every administration will have its own personalities. It'll have its own way of doing things. My appreciation of this, tell me if you agree or not. I thought when I got in that all we had to do was fix the development code. It was too cookie cut, too big government, too one size fits all, too rigid, man. It's like, golly, it's all the stuff you were just talking about. So we got as many stakeholders as we can. Anybody that anybody that touched the development code, I wanted them in the doggone meetings. Shout out to Mary Slyman. She's head of the executive director of Acadiana Home Builders Association right now. She was in head of that particular department, and she herded the cats, and she got us a good little project, man.
She did.
And you dealt with her.
I know she did. Thank
But
goodness.
Bob, I felt like I thought that was a silver bullet. I think that was about 40% of the problem. That's a big chunk. The other 60% is process. And that's where you got to be very organized. And that's where I hate to say it, man, but that's where the bureaucrats, remember, the bureaucrats are always going to mimic what supposedly at the local level for sure, what the leader says. So whatever the mentality of the leader is, that's what you're seeing, because this is all process. Like the frustrations we're hearing is process. That's an organization thing. That's a leadership thing.
The way I look at it, if I was mayor, I would let those departments know that we need to facilitate development, not get in the way of development. And because I remember a while back, I was talking to an architect that said that he had a client building a large warehouse building, wanted to put it in Lafayette, but because of all the red tape, they ended up locating it out of Lafayette.
Horrible.
Because of all the red tape. And, the more development in Lafayette, the more real estate, the more new great subdivisions and places to live and businesses that come in, creates more jobs, more tax revenue, and more opportunities for the people in Lafayette and Lafayette Parish. So, again, if I had somebody in my organization that was slowing down that process, either they'd get it fixed real quick, or I would fix them and replace them with somebody else. I don't know if you remember when I was building Subaru, and because of the drainage, it was going to raise the drainage ditch by less than an inch, the water in it. And it held up about 6 months for us getting started on that, trying to figure out the drainage. And eventually I found out the model they were using assumed there was trash in the ditch. You remember that? And I told you about it. So when we went and looked at the ditch, it had no trash in it. When they took the trash out of the model, the drainage worked, and I finally got my approval. And I remember you saying, "Well, Bob, if I'd have known, I'd have paid to clean the ditch out." He said, "No, the city would have paid to clean the ditch." Okay,
everybody else.
So we were held up 6 months because there was an assumption in the model they were using that the ditch had trash in it, and it was slowing down the drainage.
6 months, okay?
6 months.
6 months.
A $15 million project.
Thank you. That like in bureaucrat land, that might not seem like a lot. But look, and poor Bob, I know I'm coming walk. Poor Bob, anytime we would talk, because he developed a lot, at least when I was in, I would always say, all right, I want to fix the problem, but I want to fix the problem not just for you, but whoever comes
Everybody,
after you.
yeah.
And you would give us time, man. That's why Mary. Talk to Mary or whatever department, because it's not just CDP, LUS, all the things, because that's the only way that the folks that are on ground will hear directly from the business owner, directly from the resident or whatnot. I thought that was so good. That director needs to be held accountable.
Exactly right. And you talking about coming to the city, I says, look, I'm not asking for a favor.
No, no.
Never. I don't need any favors.
You don't need any.
If it doesn't make good sense for the city, then just don't do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I can attest to that. All right, guys, stick around. We'll be right back. Hey, we're going to talk about California. So let's see here. Bob has some experience in there. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show, broadcasting live from the KPEL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Go check us out at rumble.com. I want to see you on that chat. Let's bring it. Let's make it spicy. Man, I got my friend Bob Giles here in the studio. Bob, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing awesome.
Awesome. Well, you're doing awesome. I'm doing awesome.
I'm doing awesome.
Hey, guys, you know what else is awesome? And he could tell you all about it. Giles Subaru, right off of Johnson Street near Ambassador. Man, I'm telling you what. Bob, I'm pretty amazed that the variety of Subarus you guys got there on the premises. It seems like an abnormal amount of variety.
Yeah, and we do have a lot of inventory, and Subaru does make a lot of different vehicles.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like, you go to some other, it's just a unique little club. You called it that, like Subaru's almost like a little club.
Or a cult or something, yeah. I mean.
He said it.
It is, But it's people who just love the outdoors. They love that lifestyle. All the cars are all-wheel drive.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
Just visiting with you, I remember when you were opening and wonderful opening ceremonies, very beautiful class as always. But man, yeah, I remember you telling me about the service department though. That's kind of what separated me, like as far as when separating the men from the boys and the ladies from the girls. But you guys strive to leave your products, your cars, when they send them to better than when they drop them off.
We do. Yeah, we do. I mean, that's one of our efforts is to try to return the vehicle back to the customer better, and we got it. But I would love for people to see our service departments. They're literally like hospitals. All the tech workstations are built in. They have sinks in them so they keep their hands clean. Our floors are polished. Our shops are air conditioned and heated.
Man.
We got high-speed doors where the cars come in and out so we don't let the air conditioning or the heat out. And then, of course, we have free automatic car wash. And then, again, I want to keep pushing our free dog park.
Yes.
We have 2 parks back there, one for dogs, I believe, less than 40 pounds, and one for the bigger dogs, over 40 pounds. And it's all set up with all the amenities that a dog park would have, and it's right by that creek in the back with trees, and it's just beautiful. And we have a dog wash.
Yes.
Like a car wash for dogs.
And heated, by the way.
Yes.
That's crazy. When you
Yeah.
told me that, and if you're a Subaru customer, you can go do the dog wash for free.
But it's cheap. I mean, dog wash is cheap, but the park is free, and we just want people to use it and take advantage of it.
Get out there and use it. Hey, Bob, you said something about the conditions of your of the mechanics. Obviously, cleaning all that, but seems like you have a pretty good work environment for. I'm getting somewhere with this, but you have a good work environment for your mechanics back there. Would you say?
Well, absolutely. I mean,
I would too.
I remember when I was young working for my dad in his shops, and they weren't air conditioned.
Yeah, I'm about to imagine.
By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're in our humidity. Can you imagine August in a shop working on vehicles that are hot with no air conditioning? So, no, we've been air conditioning all of our facilities for quite some time. And it just makes, the technician feels better, can work better, can do a better job, when he's in a comfortable environment.
And did government make you do that?
Well,
no, to the degree you're doing it. No way, Jose, because then everybody else is not in compliance.
No. But you know what? If you want to talk about California,
well, that's what. Okay, so that's why I'm getting somewhere with this.
Okay.
So you got a mentality out there. Tim was talking about overlay districts here, more local. And that's very, very, very true. But you have a mentality of a large part, rhinos, Republican name only, Democrats, that government can fix everything. Government. And you have to have minimum wage up at this point, and you have to do this regulation at this point. And if government would just get your foot off of the business owner's neck, they will end up giving a better product than what you're trying. Like Bob's in Louisiana, and he's not in this place called California.
No, I am in California.
You're still in California. Oh my God! All right, tell us about the environment in California.
Oh, so I bought a couple car dealerships out there near Sacramento a year ago, a Nissan and Mazda dealership in a beautiful auto mall, and a friend of mine owned the dealerships and was retiring, and so I bought them, and it has been an eye-opener. I mean, I hate to use the word communism, but, man, it's not that far away, But, I was just thinking, so, we're all required to have these eye wash machines and first aid kits and so forth. Well, in Louisiana, we service those ourselves. So I was looking at a bill from California, and I see where they're hiring a third-party company to do that. I'm like, why are we paying somebody to check our eye wash machine and replace Band-Aids in our first aid kit? In California, you have to hire a certified third party to do that.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You know, I thought
They
we had
don't
it
trust
bad.
you as a business person to do that.
Well, they want their partners to get paid.
Oh,
You got to get that contract.
Oh, exactly. I mean, and there's just so many rules and regulations, which just increases the cost of everything out there, makes everything more expensive, more difficult. And the government oversight is just absolutely incredible. I mean, it's been a real eye opener for me.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
No, you can't
from
imagine.
The,
I
can't-
promise you.
yeah. Okay. Well, yes, you're right.
I thought I knew. I wasn't even close. I mean, I give you an example. We have to pay for rest and recovery. Okay.
Explain that.
Well, that's lunch and breaks. So I know that sounds great to everybody. Say, oh, I'd love to get paid on my lunch break too, whatever
Yeah.
I'm making per hour. But when it adds cost, then it increases the cost of things that you purchase. So your money doesn't go as far. So even though you may be getting more per hour, your buying power shrinks,
That's right.
and you can actually buy less. Because the cost of everything's so expensive.
And when it's all relative, but I feel like it just when the government puts those needless costs in, it expands the market, the extremes, lows and highs, but mainly those highs, and those highs don't go down as low and as quick as people may think if you just take that obstacle out, if you take that cost out. There's other examples.
Well, I'll give you another example. I was looking at our printers, and I noticed we were using 2-color printers. And I said, guys, why are you printing customer repair orders out in color? And I found out in California, there's one sentence that has to be printed in red. So we got to use, color printers, which is like 10 times the expense of a
Yes.
black and white printer.
Yes.
It's just silly things like that drive the cost up, and up.
Jeez, and the volume on that because.
Oh, thousands and thousands of
yeah.
repair orders. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's just, so we're having to have color printers when in Louisiana, Texas, New Mexico, where we have dealerships, we just use regular black and white laser printers. So it's just, and I could go on and on and on. There's 100 things like that just drive up and makes it. You were talking about the air conditioned shop. So in California, if the temperature inside of a service department gets over 80 degrees, the workers have to stop. They cannot work over
Hazard
80
duty.
degrees. Oh, yeah. Have to stop working. So if your car's in for service and it
80
gets over to 80
degrees?
degrees, we can't work on it.
God,
Oh, yeah, and there's no humidity out there either. 80 degrees is lovely.
that must have right, huh?
It's lovely.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
I didn't think
lovely.
about that.
And humid.
80 degrees.
80 degrees.
Oh my gosh. Let's go into some other silly stuff here, California. I'm going to rattle off a few things that I saw earlier, and it's just more of the same. So I'm looking at this Fox Business Report. If you want to pull it up, Kristen Altus. So Texas, apparently, all right, Texas doing some good things. Texas has officially passed California in the number of Fortune 500 headquarters. The new Fortune 500 list shows Texas with 57 and California with 56, a complete reversal of just 2 years ago. That's not that long ago, okay? So just a few little facts, and we were rattling this off earlier in the break. So Texas companies generated roughly $2.8 trillion in revenue. Okay, that's not a number to snub your nose out. Not at California either. California companies generated roughly $2.7 million or trillion. So right at there, $100 million difference. Major companies, including you got ExxonMobil, you got Chevron, you got SpaceX. You gonna lose SpaceX? X, former Twitter, apparently. Samsung Electronics America. They've either moved headquarters or legal incorporated in Texas. That is crazy. Now, meanwhile, you got California, talk about California activists. They're over here pushing this one-time 5% wealth tax on billionaires. Just a little, hey, I just need a little bit. Just a little bit. I keep asking, if government can't live off of more than 50% of someone's income, how can that person live off of less than 50%? I don't understand. All right, but we're going to take us a tiny little break. I definitely want to get your thoughts on that, Bob, especially being in both environments. I didn't realize that. All right, we'll be right back. to the Josh Guillory Show, broadcasting live from the KPEL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. My dear friend Bob Giles is joining us. We're opening up those phone lines. Ask Bob all the spicy questions. I'll ask him. I'll answer them. But
I'll try to answer them.
I was waiting.
Yeah.
But Bob, you know, one thing I'll give you, like you're what you see is what you get. I mean, that's a compliment.
True.
You know what I mean? And you're never ugly about it. Walt, you doing okay over there?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm good.
Yeah, if you want to go visit what Mr. Tim was talking about, go to keeplafayettemoving.com, keeplafayettemoving.com, and they have a petition.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, it's check it out. What's that website again?
keeplafayettemoving.com.
All right. So I got a guy that's trying to keep Lafayette moving all the time. That's Bob Giles. But we're talking about California, and I just rattled off some of this wealth, like the wealth tax, okay? So California, of course, they know best, of course, the government, wants to do a 5%. It's just one time, Bob. It's just once, okay? A 5% one-time a wealth tax on all billionaires, okay? If there's any way, like how else, like would paying their plane ticket and moving costs, would that be like the next step? Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like, I could go to the state right next door and not have to do that. I could go to Texas or Florida and not pay any income tax. Florida, look, Bob, I don't know if you noticed this or heard this. Florida, no income tax. Florida is trying to get rid of ad valorem tax, most of their property
tax. They're raising the exemption to $250,000. I think so.
Big.
There's a lot of people would no longer have to pay any.
Right.
Why can Florida do that? They don't have an income tax. They're trying to eliminate a lot of property tax for a lot of people, but
their markets are flooded now.
Exactly.
Their economy, their microeconomies, because Florida's
and their roads and infrastructure are all great. How can they do it?
Walt Disney World.
Hey, how about the mansion tax in California?
Oh gosh, tell us about it. I don't know much about that.
Oh yeah,
there's a mansion tax.
There's a mansion tax. Is 4% of any value of over 5.4 million to 10.9 million, and then it goes up to 5.5% on any homes that sell over $10.9 million. Okay, so if you're fortunate enough to own a $5 million home and you go to sell it to somebody, now you got to pay what 4%? What's that? A couple $100,000 in taxes?
Guys, do we hear this? Like, listen to this real quick. So the government of California has done all these things with regulation and taxes to make costs higher, to include property taxes, because property values, everything goes up, okay? Only to get people past a threshold to add more taxes on them because they only got there by getting their taxes raised. That is bizarre. Government fixes.
And Josh, let me tell you something from a business person's perspective. If you're, in my case, when I'm thinking about going out and opening up another business, buying another car dealership, automatically the government's my partner at 40% of my profits.
Wow.
Think about that.
And 0% effort.
Is it right? They take
actually,
no risk.
Working against you.
No risk. They put up no money. Okay. And I know going in, so from somebody that's looking at opening up a business, you have to take that in consideration when you look at what you're going to have to invest, how much you're going to have to borrow, how much you're going to have to guarantee, the risks and liabilities you're going to take on, and know that every dollar you make in profit, you're going to give about 40% of it at minimum, not including payroll taxes, not including ad valorem taxes, property taxes, and all that. Okay, roughly about half, they're going to be your partner for 50% and put up no money.
Or effort. I think they work to sabotage you, and then call you a racist for having money. Then call you all the things. And meanwhile, on the eastern coast, you got Florida that's saying that's a good point.
Have you heard of the Laffer curve?
No.
Laffer. Everybody needs to look that up.
Maybe I'm sure you showed me.
There was an economist named Laffer, and basically what it says, one axis is the amount of taxes collected. Mm-hmm. The other axis is the tax rate. And obviously at a 0% tax rate, you collect zero taxes. At a 100% tax rate, you know how much you collect in taxes? Zero.
There you go.
Okay? Because nobody's going to go to work if 100% of everything they make goes to government, right?
That's right.
So at some point when tax rate gets to a certain point, if it gets beyond that, the amount of tax revenue collected starts going down, even though the tax rate goes up.
Imagine that.
There is a sweet spot, okay?
That equilibrium.
Where somebody like me finally says, you know what, if you're going to take 50 or 60%, then I'm just going to quit working, okay?
right.
Or I'm not going to open up any more businesses because it's not worth the risk. You're taking too much of my money. And so the government actually collects less taxes instead of more taxes.
Like, and if you need an example to prove what you just said, doggone, Florida.
Yes.
Florida.
Yeah.
They're-
Less
I mean,
taxes and the economy's growing, it's booming.
smoking
And
it.
so the tax base is increasing and they can collect a smaller percentage and have more revenue.
And you know what?
Go
they're-
figure.
But this is what the elites say, though, Bob. Oh, but Florida's different. Florida has a lot of tourism. Man, every state has tourism.
How about California?
Thank you, man. Exactly. I would. Jay, let's compare the two.
Yes.
You know, and I mean, Louisiana has a lot too. We have a lot. North Louisiana, South
Exactly.
Louisiana.
New Orleans? Oh.
Yes, exactly. Look, here we go. Beans-O-Matic. I thought you were smarter than that, talking about me, not knowing what the Laffer curve or who Laffer is. Hillsdale can educate you. You ain't kidding. I need to go. I like Hillsdale, man. We need to reach out to those guys. But yeah, good call, Beans-O-Matic. I got it. That's why I hang around people smarter than me, like Bob. Hey, but that's a real world deal, man. And look, I love what you just said about partnership, but overhead is like businesses aren't in business for gross profit. I don't mean nothing. Net profit.
No, that's exactly right. A lot of
Gross
people,
profit.
A lot of people see. I remember when what was it? They do the top businesses in Acadiana, and they were quoting revenue, sales dollars. Okay, there's a lot of companies that make a lot of sales, don't make any money. Okay,
100%.
there's a lot of them make a lot of sales that lose money. Okay, so that's not a good barometer, of a business.
The fact that government even looks at it like that, because our tax laws are so complicated. That's why on like local levels, whatever location you are in California, to Mamou, to Lafayette, to St. Martinville, to wherever, that's why you gotta really kind of think a little bit, and see what is going to hit your bottom line.
Right. A lot of people don't realize, but in the automobile business, we do a lot of revenue, but the average dealer in the country nets somewhere around 3% of sales. 3%.
3%.
3%. Yeah, 3%.
But see, the thing about California, the problem is they treat success like it's the problem. That's the mentality. I mean, you build a successful company, let's tax it more. Yeah. You make a lot more money. You happen to do really. Hey, look, I don't care if you're lucky or not, or if you're just really skilled. Who cares? Okay, a one-time wealth tax. That is communism. Okay, that ain't even socialism. That is communism. Let's tax it more. You want to create some jobs? No problem. Let's regulate it more. You become wealthy. Let's get a special tax for you. and then they act. And look, Bob. And then the politicians over there, they act shocked when people move.
That's right. And so you happen to be lucky enough, fortunate enough to make enough money to own a home that the value goes up over $5 million, and you go to sell it, and you got to pay extra tax on top of it.
It's true. And they're the people that made it go up so high. All right, we're going to take us a tiny little break. Y'all need to go to rumble.com and look at my friend Beans-O-Matic. You're spitting fire over there. All right, stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Man, shout out to my friend over there, Dr. Kevin. You just heard him on one of the commercial breaks. Dr. Kevin at Dr. Kevin's Wellness Clinic. Man, that's a worker out there. He's off, and I had forgot he was taking a little tiny vacation. I sent him a question. Somebody had some information on just feeling better or whatnot. That's a trooper, man. He not only responded, but he made sure that the person was communicated with. And I think that's reminds me a lot of my friend right here to my right. You know, just value, just doing the right thing. Treat people how you want to be treated. Actually try to exceed how you would want to be treated. Have those Coca-Cola moments. I love it. Yeah, Beans-O-Matic. You know about the Coca-Cola moments? You're throwing some shade at me, which was funny. I bet you a lot of people are going to Google that now, the Laffer curve. I love it. And the Laffer curve, it makes so much sense. You tax 100%, you're getting zero. You tax zero, you're getting
zero. And there's a happy median somewhere along the way.
Somewhere along the way.
That's right.
All right, and it's all a balance, and there's always a medium in really any policy decision, if you think about it. You know what I mean? It's just but you got to have the ego leave the room. If the ego, because see, and I'm talking about on the politician side most of the time, because those business owners have spent a lifetime building what they got, and everything they got is what they've built or had hands on in. This politician, I'm speaking as one in that position at one point in my life. You know, I didn't build that thing. My job was not to build it either. My job was to make it better, and we did. But it was because we listened to folks like people in boots on ground. So anyway, you were saying something else about California. California on this, what was that? You mentioned mansion tax. There was something else you had mentioned. I guess we could have prepped for that.
Yeah, we talked about the governor's race. And
the mayor's race. Yeah. But you know what, first, let's go. I do want to go to the Los Angeles mayor's race. I'm telling you guys, but we're going to take some phone calls real quick. 232-1542, 844-766-6607. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, you are live on the Josh Guillory Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Josh, this is Bill.
Hey, Bill, what's going on?
Hey, plenty of fun things. Hey, look, so you know how Trump is going to have this MMA event? I think that he ought to have like an undercard and have like two guys from the Senate, a Democrat and a Republican.
Yeah.
Two males from the House, a Democrat and a Republican, two females from the House. And then from the administration, have Jerome Powell and Mark Wayne Mullin.
That's your victory prize. Hey, Bill, it was kind of cutting out on us a little bit, man. I appreciate you. Yeah, so now, look, we're going to have to amend those rules, though, okay? Because you start telling the Democrats in Washington, not your regular Democrats, not your Joe Public regular folks. I'm talking about the elites over there, the elected folks in Washington, and across the country here, it seems like. Now, when we say woman on woman, we're talking a biological woman. Ain't no turkey. Bob, in the Olympics, of all places, Turkey? They had a man. I mean, look, beat the heck out of that woman. and applause.
Yeah.
Come on now. I ain't having that in America. I think they changed those rules since they're coming over here.
I hope so.
So, yeah, all right. Have you been keeping up? I know you're busy. Anybody keeping up with that mayor's race in Los Angeles?
I haven't. Tell me about it.
Well, look, this guy, Spencer, he's going to, is it Spencer Pratt, I believe? Yeah, but anyway, he's going around and, I mean, what's that? Oh, that's the other guy. Yeah. Let's look up the name of the guy. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is this is a Republican, okay? And Karen Bass, I mean, look, during those wildfires, you know, it's not the fact that she was out of town when it first started. I mean, I guess that happens. It's how you handled it afterwards. You kind of stayed there, you know. Wasn't alert. I'm talking about when the emergency came, when you kind of had some forecasts and things like that. But, man, look, this guy's out here just calling her out about infrastructure, about homelessness. He's going around taking pictures of, like, the needles and stuff like that.
You're talking about Spencer Pratt.
See, it was Spencer Pratt.
Yeah.
No?
Spencer Pratt.
What?
It says surges closer to runoff in L.A. mayor's race.
See?
Yeah. Spencer Pratt.
I mean, but look, he's just going around saying the common sense, like, man, you got government all over the place. Why don't you come clean it up? Why don't you? You know, he's also a victim. His house burned in the fire, so he was relocated. He knows what it means. He knows about the struggle, about, you know, getting what that means. And by the way, this guy was a Democrat.
Oh,
He was a Democrat, and he's like, and I bought in. He's a reality show star that's recovering, but
recovering.
and this guy total 180, and that kind of happens. That's why kids. It's easy to be a socialist before you're like 22 years old. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And then all of a sudden,
Free stuff sounds great, but eventually you run out of people with stuff to give back.
And socialists never realize that.
Yeah, I know.
They're like,
you
if
run
you
out of
tax
other people's
everybody-
money. Yeah.
Man, I just looked at the time. It flies by when you're having fun. Bob, thanks for coming in.
All right, had a good time.
That's my dear friend Bob Giles. Guys, hey, thank y'all so much. We had a blast these 2 hours. Be careful out there. May God bless you and be kind.